Hi. Okay, this dish was actually inspired to me by the Midnight Diner, a Japanese show on Netflix, and then it led me to a documentary, also on Netflix, about different street vendors. And this particular one was their first episode in, I believe, Bangkok or Singapore, something like that. Anyway, uh, it started out with a small uh, street vendor that later got uh, a help from the daughter, who was a seamstress, and she mentioned that she changed the noodles. The mother had served only chicken and noodles, and or chicken noodles. Uh, and then later she tried to upscale the street vendor by introducing buttered noodles with exotic foods to increase the price and increase the quality. So that led me to finding, and her words exactly, I believe, was enriched noodles with butter. So that got me to thinking, well, I tried looking for the actual recipe, and I stumbled across an Indian street vendor that was making buttered noodles. And I know my daughter likes butter ramen, which is basically a simple ramen and then a pat of butter added at the end when you serve it. So the melted butter would flavor the ramen. In this particular case, it's more Indian style, and they use a lot of butter because they don't have any protein in there. So they just add the fat with the carbohydrate. Okay, so this particular Indian street vendor just had butter, ramen, and by the way, instant noodles, not fresh made noodles. He specifically used instant noodles, and then just the curry sauce. Now, uh, as a side item, they served with this noodle buttered noodle dish. They served uh, peppers with tomatoes on a heavily buttered piece of bread as a sandwich. So it accompanied this dish. So you had your fresh vegetables in bread with noodles and a spicy curry sauce, and heavy with the butter. So you get your fat. Okay. So um, this is my suggestion as an alternative to butter ramen. Okay, so it's a real quick dish, and we'll just take the way I'm doing it the way the street vendor did it. Okay, so he just threw no seasoning, just the buttered. I mean, just the instant noodle mix. Okay, and we got this on, and of course he had an open flame fire, so he's turned on a lot faster. Okay, so we get this going. We got this on high. Let me open this. Now, as far as Indian food, they're pretty heavy on their. Whenever they add their seasonings, they really go for it. And he was making his curry mix by scratch. You know, using cumin, straight up cumin, the chili powder, and on the whole bit. So, you know, in case here in the mainland, we just kind of get it pre-bought, pre-mixed. Okay. So anyway, so while this is starting up, okay, and you gotta imagine while he's waiting for this, he's buttering the bread, and when I mean butter, he slathers on a whole thick layer, like almost like peanut butter, right? On both sides of the bread. On two pieces of bread. He butter this and takes a second bread, butters that, puts on the cuts tomato slices, throws on some, I believe, either cut bell peppers or cut green chili peppers. But either way, they're huge, so they look like regular bell peppers. And so while he's doing this, and he puts the sandwich down, cuts it in half, puts it in a plate, and then while he's doing this, the noodles are going full blast, okay, on his fire. Okay, so we'll get this going, and pretty much as he's cooking it, the noodles and he used 2 packs of noodles, and his butter was a lot larger than this. It was actually a whole block of butter. And he didn't use ghee, but I imagine you could. So anyway, so he used 2 packages of noodles, but we're just going to use 1 package because that's too much carbs for me, you know. So anyway, so as you can see, as the noodles hydrate and cook, the liquid goes down. Okay. So we're getting there. And so kind of like halfway, he takes a whole chunk of butter and he puts it in. Okay. And I can smell the smell of the butter coming right up. So now the noodles are being infused with the butter. And again, our liquid is reducing. So don't go too overboard with the liquid, because otherwise it'll take just longer and you get soggy noodles. I would just go with half the amount of water recommended by the ramen pack. In this case, I just put about a cup of water. Okay, so the butter's pretty much melted, and we're going to go ahead and add our curry. And when I mean, he just loads on the curry. Okay, so very generous. I would say at least a tablespoon of curry powder. Okay, and as you can see, it's starting to reduce some more. And from the starch from the noodles, you can see, and plus the butter itself, it's going to make the soup thick, like well, it's going to turn into a gravy. Plus all that spices absorbs a lot of water too. So as you can see, the noodles are pretty much getting there, and it's almost cooked. Okay, now depending how much sauce you want, you'll decide whether you want it on the drier side, because as it dries out, the butter will start to look more greasy. Okay, I tend to like my noodles more on the gravy side, so that's about right for me. Yeah, you see, it's about right for me. Okay, now you gotta remember, now this is gonna be, well, for me this is gonna be real spicy. For those that you like it even more spicy, you throw in your chili peppers and what have you. Okay, so let's turn that off. This here. So as you can see, there's hardly any liquid in it. Gravy. Now, I could have tossed the vegetables, but I think Indians prefer more like the freshness of vegetables. So I'm just gonna throw this on top and add it as a kind of like a refreshing meal. So here you go, buttered curry noodles.